I lost everything in Auschwitz. My family. My manuscript. My name. They took it all in seconds. And in that moment of total devastation, I discovered the one thing no one can ever take from you. But here's what terrifies me. You're about to lose it too. Not because someone will take it, but because you've forgotten it exists. Right now, as I speak to you, something in your life is falling apart. Maybe it's a relationship that's dying slowly. Maybe it's a career that no longer makes sense. Maybe it's just this feeling that the life you built so carefully is cracking at the foundation. And you're asking the wrong question. You're asking why. Why is this happening to me? Why now? Why does everything I touch seem to crumble? But what if I told you that the collapse isn't the problem? What if I told you that everything falling apart is actually life's way of waking you up? Not punishing you. Not testing you. But liberating you from a prison you didn't even know you were in. Let me take you back to 1944. I'm standing naked in a concentration camp processing line. They've just stripped away my coat. Inside that coat was a manuscript. Years of work. My life's purpose, or so I thought. My proof to the world that I mattered. And as I watched a guard toss it into a pile of discarded clothes, I felt something break inside me. Not just sadness. Terror. Because I believed that manuscript was me. Without it, who was I? Just another prisoner. Just another number. Meaningless. And for days, I clung to that terror. I mourned that manuscript like I mourned my family. Because losing it felt like losing myself. But then something strange happened. In the complete absence of everything I thought defined me, a question emerged. Not from outside, but from deep within. Who are you now? Not who you were. Not who you hoped to be. But who you are right here, stripped of everything, standing in the void. And in that void, I found something I never expected. Freedom. The freedom that comes when you realize you are not your achievements. You are not your identity. You are not even your story. You are the consciousness experiencing all of it. And that can never be taken away. Here's what most people don't understand about suffering. When your life falls apart, you think you're losing yourself. But you're not. You're only losing the costume you've been wearing. The persona you built to be accepted. The mask you put on to feel safe. And yes, losing that mask is terrifying. Because underneath it, you don't know who you are. You've been playing a character for so long that you forgot you were acting. But here's the truth that will set you free. That character was always temporary. Those roles you play, mother, father, CEO, artist, they're real, but they're not you. They're expressions of you. And when they fall away, what remains is something far more powerful. Your essential self. The part of you that existed before you learned to perform. Before you learned to achieve. Before you learned to prove your worth. That self doesn't need validation. It doesn't need success. It just needs to be seen. By you. In the camps, I watched two types of people. The first type spent their energy asking why. Why is this happening? What did I do to deserve this? Where is the justice? And these questions consumed them. Because there were no answers. No logic. No fairness. And without answers, they collapsed. But I watched other men, and women too, who asked a different question. Not why, but what for? What can I do with this suffering? How can I transform this pain into something meaningful? What is this experience asking me to become? One man I remember, we'll call him Joseph, he had lost his entire family. Everyone. And every night he would lie on his wooden bunk and whisper to the darkness. At first I thought he was praying. But when I asked him, he said no. He was telling his children stories. The same stories he used to tell them at bedtime. Even though they were gone, he kept the ritual alive. Because it gave his suffering meaning. It kept his love alive. And that meaning, that tiny flame in the darkness, kept him alive long enough to be liberated. Not because he was strong, but because he found something worth staying alive for. So when everything is falling apart in your life right now, ask yourself this. What is this collapse trying to teach me? What part of me needs to die so a truer part can be born? Because I promise you, something is trying to emerge. A version of you that's more authentic, more aligned, more real. But that version can't be born until the old version dies. And the old version doesn't die peacefully. It clings. It fights. It bargains. It says, please, just let me keep this one thing. Just let me hold on to this identity, this relationship, this dream. But life doesn't negotiate. Life says, let go. Let it all fall. Trust the void. Because on the other side of the collapse is clarity. On the other side of the loss is liberation. On the other side of the death is a rebirth you can't even imagine yet. Think of it like this. You're a caterpillar dissolving in a cocoon. And if the caterpillar could think, it would be terrified. It would say, I'm dying. Everything I am is disappearing. But it's not dying. It's transforming. And you? You're in the cocoon right now. Everything is liquid. Nothing makes sense. You don't recognize yourself. But you're not ending. You're becoming. Let me tell you about another moment in the camps. We were on a work detail, marching through frozen fields before dawn. Exhausted. Starving. Half dead. And a man next to me whispered, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to let go. And I knew what he meant. In the camps, letting go meant walking to the electric fence. It meant choosing death over one more day of suffering. And I looked at him, this stranger whose name I didn't even know, and I asked him a simple question. If you survived this, what would you do? What would make this suffering worth it? And he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I have a daughter. She's 8 years old. I don't know if she's alive. But if she is, and if I can see her again, I would tell her that no matter what happens in life, love is stronger than suffering. That's what I would tell her. And in that moment, something changed in his eyes. A small light. A reason. A what for. He survived. I don't know if he ever found his daughter. But that question, that search for meaning, kept him alive one more day. And then another. And then another. Because here's what I learned in the darkest place humanity has ever created. Suffering without meaning is unbearable. But suffering with meaning, even the smallest meaning, becomes endurable. Not easy. Never easy. But possible. And that's the difference between collapse and transformation. Between being destroyed and being rebuilt. The difference is meaning. It's asking, what is this for? What can I become because of this? How can I use this pain to create something valuable? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Victor, I'm not in a concentration camp. My suffering isn't that extreme. And you're right. Your circumstances are different. But the principle is the same. When everything falls apart, when you lose what you thought to find you, you have a choice. You can spend your energy trying to go back to what was. Or you can use that energy to discover what could be. You can mourn the old identity. Or you can birth a new one. You can resist the collapse. Or you can surrender to the transformation. And surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to reality. It means accepting that what was is gone. That the old life has ended. And that fighting against that truth only prolongs the suffering. But when you accept it, when you truly accept that this chapter is over, something miraculous happens. Space opens up. The space between who you were and who you're becoming. And in that space, possibility lives. Think about a forest fire. Devastating, right? Everything burns. Trees that stood for centuries, reduced to ash in hours. And if you walked through that forest right after the fire, you'd think nothing could ever grow there again. But that's not what happens. The ash fertilizes the soil. The fire clears out the dead undergrowth. And within months, new growth emerges. Stronger. More diverse. More resilient than before. The forest needed to burn to renew itself. And so do you. Your life is burning right now. The structures you built, the identities you claimed, the securities you relied on, they're turning to ash. And it feels like death. But it's not death. It's preparation. The ground is being cleared. The soil is being fertilized. And soon, if you let it, new growth will emerge. Not the same as before. Something different. Something that couldn't have grown in the shadow of what was. But here's the key. You have to let it burn. You have to stop trying to save what's already gone. You have to stop pouring water on a fire that needs to complete its cycle. Because if you interrupt the burning, you prevent the renewal. You stay stuck in a half-destroyed landscape, clinging to charred remains, refusing to let the new growth begin. So what does letting it burn look like practically? It means feeling the grief without running from it. It means sitting with the uncertainty without demanding immediate answers. It means acknowledging that you don't know who you are right now, and being okay with not knowing. It means trusting that the confusion is temporary. That the void is not empty, but full of potential. That the falling apart is actually a falling into place, even though you can't see the pattern yet. In the camps, there was a man, a rabbi, who used to say something that haunted me. He said, God is not found in the comfort. God is found in the question. And I didn't understand that at first. I thought, if God is real, surely God would provide comfort in suffering. Surely God would ease the pain. But that's not what he meant. He meant that the divine, the sacred, the transcendent, whatever you want to call it, that emerges not when life is easy, but when life is hard. Not when you have answers, but when you have questions. Not when you're certain, but when you're lost. Because it's in the lostness that you finally start searching for what's real. It's in the darkness that you finally start looking for light. It's in the collapse that you finally start building something true. And what's true is always simple. It's always been there. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy maintaining the illusion. And the illusion is this: that you are what you do. That you are what you have. That you are what others think of you. That your value is conditional. That your worth must be earned. That your belonging depends on performance. These are lies. Beautiful lies, convincing lies, lies that society teaches you from birth. But lies nonetheless. The truth is this: you are valuable because you exist. Your worth is inherent. Your belonging is guaranteed by the simple fact that you are part of the human family. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to achieve it. You already have it. You always did. You just forgot. And everything falling apart right now is life's way of reminding you. Forcing you to remember. Stripping away everything false until only the true remains. So what do you do with this? How do you live when everything is falling apart? First, stop trying to put it back together. Stop scrambling to rebuild what was. Because what was is over. And trying to resurrect it is like trying to force a butterfly back into a caterpillar. It's not possible. And it's not the point. Second, sit in the void. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's terrifying. But this space between who you were and who you're becoming, this is where wisdom lives. This is where you finally hear the quiet voice that's been trying to reach you for years. The voice that says, you are enough. You always were. You just forgot. And third, find your what for. Find one thing, just one, that makes this suffering meaningful. Maybe it's becoming more compassionate. Maybe it's finally being honest. Maybe it's creating something that helps others who are suffering too. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be true. Because when you have a what for, you can endure anyhow. When you have a reason, you can bear any burden. When you have meaning, you can survive any circumstance. I survived Auschwitz not because I was strong. Not because I was lucky. Not because I was special. I survived because I had a reason. At first, it was the hope of seeing my wife again. Then it was the memory of her love. Then it was the desire to share what I learned with the world. The reason changed. But having a reason, that stayed constant. And that reason, that tiny thread of meaning, pulled me through hell and back into life. You have that thread too. You might not see it yet. You might not feel it yet. But it's there. Waiting for you to grab hold. Waiting for you to follow it out of the darkness. Waiting for you to trust that even though everything is falling apart, you are not falling. You are being lowered. Gently, carefully, intentionally, into a deeper truth. A truer version of yourself. A life that actually matches who you are, not who you thought you should be. Everything falling apart isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of the one you were always meant to live. The one where you stop performing and start being. The one where you stop achieving and start experiencing. The one where you stop proving your worth and start remembering it. I learned this in the darkest place humans have ever created. But you don't need to go to a concentration camp to learn it. Life is teaching you right now. Through the collapse. Through the loss. Through the pain that feels unbearable. It's saying wake up. Wake up to who you really are. Wake up to what really matters. Wake up before it's too late. So let it fall. Let it all fall. And in the ruins, you'll find the only thing that was ever real. You. Not the costume. Not the character. But the consciousness that's been watching this whole time. Waiting patiently to be remembered. That's what's left when everything falls apart. And that, my friend, is everything.